First Contact and Betrayal Commander Maya Chen stood at the observation deck of the UES Perseverance, watching as the massive alien vessel approached. The stars seemed to bend around its iridescent hull, a technology humanity had never seen before. She straightened her uniform, acutely aware that she represented not just Earth but all of humanity in this historic moment. "Nervous, Commander?" asked Lieutenant Eli Santos as he joined her at the window. His dark eyes reflected the stars, and perhaps a hint of the same anxiety she felt. "Not nervous," Maya said, her voice steady. "Cautious. There's a difference." "First alien species we've ever contacted," Eli noted. "I think a little nervousness would be justified." Maya almost smiled. "That's why I'm the commander." The truth was, Maya felt the weight of 7 billion souls on her shoulders. The Veridans had answered Earth's deep space signals just months ago. Their technology was clearly centuries ahead of humanity's. Their ships could bend space-time in ways that made Earth's fusion drives look like steam engines. They had medicines that could, theoretically, extend human lifespans by decades. And they had weapons that could, in theory, end human civilization with minimal effort. Yet they had come in peace. The Veridon ship docked with a precision that seemed impossible for something so vast. Maya touched the small charm around her neck, a piece of metal from humanity's first Mars rover, a gift from her grandfather who had worked on the mission. If she succeeded today, her own grandchildren might grow up in a galaxy full of possibilities, instead of just one small solar system. "It's time," said Captain Rafael Torres, her second in command. "The delegation is ready in the meeting hall." Maya nodded and followed Rafael through the corridors of the Perseverance. Crew members stopped to salute as they passed. Everyone understood what today meant. The meeting hall had been specially prepared for this moment. A round table dominated the center, with the flags of Earth's nations along one wall and screens showing views of Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies on another. "Remember," Maya said quietly to her team as the airlock began to cycle. "No sudden movements. Follow the protocol exactly as we practiced." The door slid open. The Veridons entered in perfect formation. They were tall, nearly 8 feet, with slender bodies covered in what looked like luminescent scales that shifted color slightly as they moved. Their heads had no visible ears, just small sensory pits, and their 3 eyes, 2 large, 1 small, blinked independently of each other. Most striking were their hands, 7-fingered and capable of bending in ways human hands never could. The lead Veridon stepped forward. "Greetings, Commander Maya Chen of Earth," it said in perfect English, its voice melodic and strangely calming. "I am High Emissary Zorax of the Veridon Concordance. We come with open minds and peaceful purpose." Maya stepped forward and performed the greeting gesture they had been taught. "High Emissary, on behalf of all humanity, welcome. We are honored by your presence and eager to learn from each other." The first meeting lasted 8 hours. The Veridons were curious about everything. Human biology, culture, history, technology. They seemed especially interested in Earth's wars, asking detailed questions about strategy and weapons development. At the time, Maya thought they were trying to understand human psychology. Over the weeks that followed, the relationship flourished. The Veridons shared medical knowledge that led to treatments for several previously incurable diseases. They helped improve Earth's space travel capabilities. They invited human scientists to visit their ships and learn. Maya sent regular messages, home to her partner Tara and their daughter Lily. "The galaxy just got a whole lot bigger," she told them during one call. "When I get back, I'll take you both to see the Veridon Botanical Gardens. They have plants that actually sing, Lily. Actually sing." 6 months into the diplomatic mission, the Veridons suggested establishing an exchange program. A permanent human embassy would be set up on one of their worlds, and they would maintain a presence on Luna, which they found fascinating due to its perfect view of Earth. Maya thought it was a perfect arrangement. Luna was where Tara and Lily lived. She might even get reassigned closer to home. 2 years passed. The exchange program thrived. Thousands of Veridons now lived among humans throughout the solar system, and a smaller number of humans had traveled to Veridon worlds. Earth's technology advanced rapidly with Veridon help. Diseases were vanishing. Clean energy was abundant. It seemed like the beginning of a golden age. Maya had been promoted to admiral for her role in establishing first contact. She was in her office on the lunar base when she first noticed discrepancies in the Veridon reports. "These resource allocation numbers don't add up," she told Captain Torres as they reviewed the latest data. "The amount of rare Earth elements they're requesting for their cultural centers is excessive. Could be differences in how they measure quantities," Torres suggested. "Their mathematics is fundamentally different from ours." "Maybe," Maya said, but she wasn't convinced. Over the next few months, she quietly began her own investigation. The Veridons had been extremely open with their technology, except when it came to their weapons systems. Their cultural centers, built in every major human settlement, were off-limits to all but a few specifically approved humans. Maya had always respected their privacy. Now she wondered if that had been a mistake. Using her admiral's clearance, she began accessing restricted data. The energy signatures from the Veridon cultural centers didn't match what would be expected from their stated purpose, and their questions about human biology had led to them collecting DNA samples from millions of volunteers for medical research. What were they really doing with all that information? She was in her office, compiling her findings to present to Earth's Security Council, when the alarm sounded. "Admiral," her aide said, face pale as she rushed in without knocking, "Luna Base East has gone dark." "What do you mean, dark?" Maya's heart began to pound. "All communications stopped 10 minutes ago. The long-range telescopes show—" She hesitated. "They show explosions on the surface." Maya rushed to the command center. The screen showed chaos. Luna Base East, home to 25,000 people, including Tara and Lily, now flashed with fire. And surrounding the moon were ships, Veridon war vessels, unlike the diplomatic ships they had shown humans before. "Get me the Veridon ambassador now," Maya shouted. But the Veridon embassy had been evacuated an hour earlier. They had slipped away while preparing their attack. Reports began flooding in from throughout the solar system. Veridon citizens had disappeared from every human settlement. Their diplomatic vessels had all left orbit simultaneously. Then came the message. It appeared on every screen across Earth and the colonies. The face of a Veridon, not the friendly ambassadors they had come to know, but one with military markings on its scales. "People of Earth, the assessment phase is complete. The Veridon Concordance has determined your species is unsuitable for partnership, but valuable for resources. Your colonies are now under our control. Resistance will result in the destruction of your homeworld. We thank you for your cooperation during our evaluation period." The transmission ended. Maya stared at the blank screen, her world collapsing. "Tara," she whispered. "Lily." Communications with Luna slowly came back online as surviving colonists restored emergency systems. The reports were devastating. 15,000 dead. The colony's main dome breached. The Veridon Cultural Center had been a weapons platform all along. Among the confirmed dead were Tara and Lily Chen. 3 days later, as Earth prepared for war, a scientist discovered the truth. Hidden in the medical technology the Veridons had shared was a subtle way to gather human biological data. The cultural exchange had been a cover to study humans for weaknesses. Worse, intelligence recovered from a damaged Veridon communication device revealed that humanity was the 12th species. The Veridons had approached this way. The others had all been conquered or destroyed. In a secure underground facility, Earth's leaders gathered. Maya sat silently as generals and politicians argued about how to respond. Finally, she stood up. The room fell quiet. Her face, once diplomatic and hopeful, had hardened into something new. 2 years ago, I welcomed the Veridons as friends, she said. I believed we had found our place in a larger community of worlds. She paused, her voice becoming steel. I was wrong. They studied us to exploit us. They pretended friendship while planning our destruction. They killed my family and thousands of others. She looked around the room, meeting every eye. But they made a mistake. They should have killed us all at once. Now we know what we're facing, and we will show them something they've never seen before, a species that punches back. The room was silent for a moment. Then someone began to applaud. Others joined in. The war had begun, and humanity would not go quietly. Counterattack and revelation. 5 years had passed since the attack on Luna. The war with the Veridans had not gone well for humanity. Earth's orbital defenses had been breached twice. Millions were dead. Mars had fallen entirely to the enemy. Humanity was using every resource it had to fight, but the Veridans were simply too advanced. Their ships could move faster, their weapons hit harder, and their shields withstood most human attacks. Admiral Maya Chen was no longer the hopeful diplomat. Her face had grown hard and lined, her hair streaked with gray now. She stood in the command center of Earth's last major military base, buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The room was dimly lit, filled with the glow of screens showing the positions of the few remaining human fleets. "They've taken the Titan outpost," said General Omar Patel, pointing to a flashing red marker on the main display. "That's the third outpost this month," Maya nodded grimly. "How many ships did we lose?" 8. But they managed to evacuate most of the civilians first. It was a small victory, but Maya would take any victory these days. She looked around the room at the tired faces of Earth's military leaders. They were fighting a losing war, and everyone knew it. "Admiral," said a young communications officer, "Dr. Ishida is requesting your presence in Laboratory 12. Maya exchanged a glance with Omar. Dr. Kaido Ishida was humanity's best hope, a brilliant scientist leading Project Phoenix, the most classified research initiative on Earth. If anyone could find a way to defeat the Veridans, it would be him. "Tell him I'll be there in 20 minutes, Maya said. The journey to Laboratory 12 required taking a high-speed underground train. As Maya sat alone in the car, watching the tunnel walls flash by, she thought about how much the world had changed. Before the war, these tunnels didn't exist. Now, much of human civilization had moved underground, away from the Veridan attacks from space. Dr. Ishida met her at the lab entrance. He was in his 50s with salt and pepper hair and eyes that rarely blinked when he was thinking deeply. Right now, those eyes looked excited. "We found something, Admiral," he said without greeting, leading her into the lab. "Something that Veridans don't want us to know." The laboratory was massive, filled with equipment salvaged from research centers around the world. Scientists worked at various stations, many studying pieces of damaged Veridan technology. "What did you find?" Maya asked. Kaido led her to a secure room in the back. Inside was a strange device that pulsed with a soft golden light. It looked like a mix of crystal and liquid metal, with no obvious controls. "This is an intact piece of a Veridan quantum communications module," he explained. "Commander Lin's team recovered it during their last raid." Maya knew about Commander Sophia Lin. The woman led what remained of Earth's special forces on seemingly suicidal missions against Veridan supply lines. Somehow she kept coming back alive, usually with valuable intelligence. "We've been studying how the Veridans communicate," Kaido continued. "Their whole society is based on a type of quantum network. Each Veridan is an individual, but they're also connected to a collective consciousness." Maya frowned. "In simple terms, Doctor, they're all linked together. It's how their ships coordinate so perfectly. But here's the thing. We've discovered a vulnerability in their network, a way to potentially disrupt their communication." For the first time in years, Maya felt a spark of hope. "How?" "We're developing a virus, not a biological one, but a quantum algorithm that could infiltrate their network and cause chaos in their hive-mind connection." Before they could discuss further, an alarm sounded. Maya's communicator beeped urgently. "Admiral, we have an incoming transmission from Commander Lin," said the voice of her aide. "Her team is under heavy fire, but they've captured something you need to see immediately." Maya rushed back to the command center. On the main screen was the face of Commander Sophia Lin, a woman with fierce eyes and a determination that matched Maya's own. Behind her, explosions illuminated what looked like the interior of a Veridan vessel. "Admiral!" Lin shouted over the noise of battle. "We infiltrated a Veridon research vessel, found out what they're doing with our captured people." The camera panned shakily to show rows of clear containers. Inside each was a human body, connected to tubes and wires. Some were still moving. "They're not just killing our people," Lin said grimly. "They're studying us, mapping our neural networks. I'm sending you the data we recovered." Maya felt sick as she watched. "Get your team out of there, Commander." "Working on it, sir. But you should know. They're planning something big. Final phase of their conquest. 2 weeks from now, they're bringing in their main fleet." The transmission cut off as another explosion rocked Lin's position. The command center was silent. Then General Patel spoke. 2 weeks. That's all we have left." Maya turned to face the room. "Then we have 2 weeks to get Dr. Ishida's virus ready, and we need a delivery system, a way to get it into the heart of their fleet." Over the next 14 days, Earth made its final preparations. Dr. Ishida and his team worked around the clock refining their virus. Commander Lin, who had managed to escape the Veridon vessel with half of her team, helped plan the delivery mission. The plan was desperate. A small strike force of Earth's fastest ships, modified with technology reverse-engineered from captured Veridon vessels, would make a run at the Veridon command ship when their fleet arrived, while the remaining Earth defense forces engaged the Veridons in a frontal assault, essentially a suicide mission. Lin's team would slip through the chaos and deliver the virus. On the day before the mission, Maya visited the launch bay where the strike force was preparing. 5 ships, each with a crew of just 4 people. 20 men and women who might save humanity or die trying. Commander Lin stood inspecting the lead vessel, a sleek black ship that had once been a scientific exploration vessel before the war. "Admiral on deck," someone called, and the busy work paused as people stood at attention. "As you were," Maya said quietly. She approached Lin. "How are the preparations?" "As good as they can be, sir," Lin replied. "The ships are ready, the crews are ready." Maya looked at the small fleet. "You know the odds." Lin smiled slightly. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" "Always. The odds have been against us since day one of this war. Hasn't stopped us yet." Lin's face grew serious. "The Veridons think they know us. They've studied us for years, but they missed something important." "What's that?" "Humans are at their most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose." Lin looked around at her crew, men and women checking weapons and systems. "Everyone here has lost someone to the Veridons. Family, friends, homes. We're not just fighting for survival anymore." Maya nodded slowly. "We're fighting for justice." "Exactly, sir." Lin straightened. "This time tomorrow, the Veridons will learn a lesson about humanity they never expected." Maya looked at the determined faces around her. For the first time in 5 years, she allowed herself to believe that humanity might have a chance after all. The day of humanity's last stand arrived with no special marker or warning. The sky above Earth looked the same as any other day, blue and clear in the areas not damaged by previous attacks. But in orbit and beyond, sensors detected the approach of the largest Veridon fleet ever assembled. In the underground command center, Admiral Maya Chen watched the main screen as red dots appeared, representing enemy ships. There were hundreds of them. "All defense platforms are ready," reported General Patel. "Civilian shelters are sealed. Ground troops are in position in case they break through." Maya nodded, her face grim. She touched the charm around her neck, thinking of Tara and Lily, then looked at the tired but determined faces around her. "Send the signal to Commander Lin," she ordered. "Operation Phoenix is go." Far from Earth, hiding in the shadow of Neptune, 5 small ships powered up their engines. Inside the lead vessel, Commander Sophia Lin received the message. "This is it, people," she announced to her crew. "Earth Defense Force is engaging the main Veridon fleet now. While they're distracted, we slip in, deliver the package, and change the course of this war." Lieutenant James Wu, Lin's pilot, looked up from his controls. "Navigation is set, Commander. The virus is secure." Dr. Kaito Ishida sat strapped into a seat behind them. He wasn't military, but he had insisted on coming. The virus was his creation, and if anything went wrong, he needed to be there to fix it. "Remember," he said, "we need to get within 100 meters of their command ship's main quantum relay. The virus has to directly interface with their network." Lin nodded. "Lieutenant Wu will get us there. Teams 2 through 5 will run interference." Turn to the communications officer. "Tell the other ships to launch, maintain radio silence from here on." The 5 ships moved out from their hiding place, accelerating toward the distant battle near Earth. They were small and fast, modified, with stealth technology reverse-engineered from captured Veridon vessels. If everything went according to plan, the enemy wouldn't detect them until it was too late. Back at Earth, the space around the planet had turned into chaos. The defense platforms fired constantly, filling the void with explosions. Earth's remaining warships engaged the front line of the Veridon fleet, fighting with a desperation born from knowing there was nowhere left to retreat. Maya coordinated the defense from the command center. Group 3, focus fire on Sector 7. Group 5, fall back and regroup. She watched as human ships exploded one after another. Each lost ship meant lost lives, but each second of fighting bought more time for Lin's team to reach their target. In the middle of the Veridon fleet, a massive ship 3 times larger than any other hung back from the main battle. This was the Veridon command vessel, the hub of their quantum network. This was Lin's target. As Lin's small fleet approached the battle zone, they split up, each taking a different path to avoid detection. 4 ships would create diversions while Lin's vessel carried Dr. Ishida and the primary virus payload directly to the command ship. "Enemy ships at 2 o'clock, warned Wu. 3 Veridon fighters had broken off from the main battle and were moving to intercept them. "They've spotted us," Lin said. "Teams 3 and 4, run your diversions now." 2 of the human ships suddenly broke cover, firing at the Veridon vessels before speeding away in different directions. The enemy took the bait, 2 fighters peeling off in pursuit. "One still on us," Wu reported. Lin made a quick decision. "Bring us around that debris field. We'll lose them there." Wu skillfully guided their ship through the floating wreckage of a destroyed Veridon cruiser. The pursuing fighter followed, firing energy beams that barely missed them. Suddenly, a hit rocked their ship. Warning alarms blared throughout the cabin. "Engine 2 is down," reported the engineering officer. "Hull breach in Section 3 ceiling, now." Lin gripped her seat as Wu continued evasive maneuvers. "Can we still make it to the target?" "Yes, sir," Wu replied, his face tight with concentration. "But we've lost too much speed. They'll catch us before we get there." From behind them, Dr. Ishida spoke up. "What about Team 5? Are they still in position?" Lin checked her tactical display. "They're engaged with enemy ships near the command vessel's perimeter." The ship rocked again as another hit struck them. Systems flickered. "We need a distraction," Lin muttered. That's when Lieutenant Wu made a decision. "Sir, transfer helm control to yours." As Lin looked puzzled, Wu continued quietly. "I have a family photo too, sir. Mine's of my parents on Titan base." Before Lin could respond, Wu unstrapped himself and ran toward the escape pod bay. "I'll give you your distraction. Get that virus to the target." "Wu!" Lin shouted, but the lieutenant was already gone. Moments later, a small escape pod ejected from their ship, its engines modified to run hot. It shot directly toward the pursuing Veridon fighter, broadcasting on all frequencies. The enemy took the bait. The fighter changed course to intercept what it thought was fleeing officers with valuable information. Then the pod exploded, taking the Veridon ship with it. Lieutenant James Wu had rigged the pod's power core to overload. Silence fell over Lin's bridge. Then Dr. Ishida spoke softly. "He saved us." Lin set her jaw and took the helm controls. "Then let's make sure it wasn't for nothing." As they approached the Veridon command ship, they saw that Team 2 had also reached the perimeter but was engaged in fierce fighting. Team 3 had been destroyed. The status of the others was unknown. "We're going to have to punch through." "Right here," Lin told her crew. "Weapons, target their defensive batteries. We need a clear path to their quantum relay." The ship accelerated, taking fire from multiple directions as they made their final approach. More alarms sounded. Another. Engine failed. Part of the bridge ceiling collapsed, injuring the weapons officer. 200 meters to target, Lynn reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. 150 meters. The ship shuddered as a direct hit took out their main shields. 100 meters. Dr. Ishida moved to the front, ready with the virus transmission unit. "We're not going to make it much closer," Lynn said as the ship began to break apart around them. "Seal the bridge. Evacuate all other sections." She looked at Ishida. "Can you transmit from here?" He shook his head. "It's not close enough. We need to board them." Lynn made another quick decision. "Prepare for impact. We're ramming their relay section." She aimed the dying ship directly at the protruding structure on the Veridon command vessel. Ishida braced himself, clutching the virus unit tightly. The impact threw everyone forward. Metal screamed as their ship tore into the Veridon vessel. When the motion finally stopped, Lynn looked up through a shattered viewport. They had crashed directly into the relay section. "Everyone who can move, gear up," she ordered. "We're boarding. Dr. Ishida, stay in the middle. We'll get you to their network core." 3 surviving crew members, including Lynn and Ishida, put on spacesuits with magnetic boots. Armed with weapons and the precious virus unit, they forced open the damaged airlock and stepped onto the Veridon ship. What they found inside would change the course of the war. Inside the Veridon command ship, everything was different from what humans had expected. The corridors were wide and curved, lit by a pulsing blue-green light that seemed to flow through the walls themselves. The few Veridons they encountered were easily dispatched. The crash had caught them by surprise. As they moved deeper into Mao, the ship, guided by Ishida's sensors toward the quantum network core, they passed chamber after chamber filled with transparent pods. Each pod contained a different alien species, some humanoid, some utterly unlike anything Earth had ever seen. "They're collecting them," whispered Ishida. "Studying them, just like they were studying us." They reached a massive central chamber. In the middle stood a towering structure of crystal and light, the quantum network core. Around it, dozens of Veridons worked at control stations. None of them noticed the human intruders at first. "That's it," Ishida said, pointing to an access terminal near the edge of the room. "I need to get there to upload the virus." Lynn nodded. "Cover us," she told the remaining crew member. Then to Ishida, "Stay close." They moved silently along the perimeter of the room. Just as they reached the terminal, an alarm sounded. They had been detected. "Upload the virus," Lynn ordered, turning to face the approaching Veridon security forces. "We'll hold them off." Gunfire erupted in the chamber. Lynn and her crewmate took positions around Ishida, who worked frantically at the terminal. "There's something else here," he said suddenly, his voice tense with discovery. "Something about the Veridons themselves." "Whatever it is, save it for later," Lynn shouted, firing continuously at the advancing enemy. "No, you don't understand," Ishida insisted. "The Veridons, they're not what we thought. They're not the original species, they're—" He never finished his sentence. A Veridon energy beam struck him in the chest. He slumped forward, but not before pressing the final command to upload the virus. Lynn pulled him back, checking for signs of life. There were none. She looked at the terminal screen. It showed a single message: "Upload complete." Seconds later, the effects began. The beautiful, flowing lights in the walls flickered and died. The Veridons attacking them suddenly stopped, clutching their heads in apparent agony. Some collapsed immediately. Others began moving erratically, as if they had forgotten how their bodies worked. The virus had succeeded. It had severed their connection to the quantum network. Lynn's communicator suddenly activated. Earth's signal was getting through. "Commander Lynn, this is Admiral Chen. What's your status?" "The virus is uploaded," Lynn reported, watching as the remaining Veridons in the chamber collapsed. "It's working. The Veridons are shutting down. We can see it from here," Maya replied, her voice filled with amazement. "Their entire fleet has stopped firing. Ships are drifting. It's working throughout their network. Lin turned to the terminal where Ishida had made his discovery. Admiral, Dr. Ishida found something before he died. Something about the Veridons. She accessed the files he had been viewing. What she saw made her blood run cold. Admiral, the Veridons, they're not the original species. They're biological constructs created by someone else. They're weapons designed to find and harvest sentient species. Weapons? Maya's voice was incredulous. Created by whom? Lin scrolled through the data. There's no name, just references to the architects. They seem to be some kind of ancient species that left this galaxy long ago. They created the Veridons to collect biological data and resources from evolving sentient species. So the real enemy is still out there? Maybe, but according to this, the architects haven't been seen in over 10,000 years. The Veridons have been operating autonomously all this time, following their original programming. On the screens, throughout Earth's command center, the Veridon fleet continued to drift helplessly. Reports were coming in from all fronts. The enemy had simply stopped fighting. The virus had spread throughout their entire network, disconnecting every Veridon from the hive mind that controlled them. "What do we do now?" asked General Patel, looking at Maya. Maya stood silent for a moment, then made her decision. "We finish this. Send the message to all remaining Earth forces, board the Veridon vessels, secure their technology, and make sure none of them ever reconnect to their network." As Earth forces began to retake the solar system, Maya recorded a message. It would be broadcast on all frequencies to any other species that might be listening, and stored in beacons that would be sent to the furthest reaches of the galaxy. "This is Admiral Maya Chen of Earth. To any sentient species receiving this message, we have defeated the entities known as the Veridons, biological constructs created to harvest intelligent life. They came to us in peace, studied us, then attacked, when they thought us vulnerable. But humanity does not surrender. We found their weakness and turned it against them. Should you encounter other such predatory species, know this: war has a price. Those who start it must be prepared to pay. Humanity stands ready to aid any species threatened as we were, and to any who might consider Earth a target in the future, remember our message to the Veridons. You wanted war. Now face our wrath." In the years that followed, humanity would rebuild. Using Veridon technology, they would expand beyond the solar system. They would find other sentient species, some friends, some foes. But all would know the story of how humanity, on the brink of extinction, had defied the odds and survived. And somewhere in the vast darkness between galaxies, perhaps, the architects themselves received Maya's message and for the first time in eons felt something they had long forgotten: fear.